Jude was the embodiment of ambition. A young man filled with dreams, he had always been the kind of person who walked through life with purpose. Growing up in a modest household, Jude never let his circumstances define him. He had always believed in hard work and dedication, and that belief carried him all the way to college. This was his moment, his time to shine. He had just been accepted into one of the most prestigious universities in the country, and everything seemed perfect. His academics were on track, his social life was thriving, and then there was Asha. She was his girlfriend, and to Jude she was the epitome of everything he ever wanted. Beautiful, intelligent, independent, and ambitious. Asha was the perfect match for Jude. Together they were unstoppable. Their love was the stuff of campus legends. Every corner of the university seemed to know their names. Their relationship began like a dream. They were inseparable, always studying together, attending campus events hand in hand, and showing the world that they were the power couple everyone admired. Asha was not just a girlfriend to Jude, she was his partner in every sense of the word. She encouraged him when he doubted himself, and together, they crafted a vision of success that seemed inevitable. At first, everything was perfect. Jude was excelling in his classes, his professors were impressed, and Asha was always by his side, making his world feel even more complete. But life, as it often does, has a way of throwing curveballs. Jude never saw it coming. The first signs of trouble were small and easily overlooked. Asha began to frequent the department more often, waiting for Jude after his classes, even spending time in the hallways as he finished his lectures. Jude was busy. He was focused on his studies and his future, and he thought nothing of it. But there was one person who was paying very close attention: Dr. Dean. Dr. Dean was a respected figure at the university, a lecturer known for his strict teaching methods and no-nonsense attitude. He was admired by his peers and most students feared him. But beneath his professional demeanor, Dr. Dean harbored a secret, a deep, growing obsession with Asha. It began innocently enough. Dr. Dean noticed her hanging around, waiting for Jude in the hallways. At first, he thought it was nothing more than a coincidence. But soon it became clear that Asha had developed a pattern, and Dr. Dean couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it. He began watching her more closely, admiring not only her beauty but her intelligence and grace. She was everything he wished he had in a woman, and he couldn't stop thinking about her. Asha's presence in the department became a daily routine, and that's when Dr. Dean started making his feelings known. He would mention Asha in passing conversations with colleagues, talking about how attractive and intelligent she was. But as the weeks went by, his admiration turned into something more dangerous. Dr. Dean started making subtle advances towards Asha, complimenting her in ways that were inappropriate for a lecturer to do with a student. But Asha, strong and determined as ever, rejected every advance. But the more Asha resisted, the more Dr. Dean's feelings for her intensified. He began confiding in his friends and fellow lecturers about his desire to marry Asha, although he was aware of her reluctance. He had convinced himself that it was simply a matter of time before she would come around. After all, he reasoned, who wouldn't want to be with someone as accomplished as him? Meanwhile, Jude remained oblivious to what was unfolding right under his nose. He was busy with his studies and focused on his relationship with Asha. He couldn't see the growing tension between his girlfriend and his lecturer. But that didn't mean it wasn't there. Asha, despite her growing discomfort with Dr. Dean's attention, was determined not to let anything interfere with her life or her relationship with Jude. She didn't tell him about Dr. Dean's advances because she believed she could handle it herself. She didn't want to make Jude paranoid or anxious. But what Asha didn't realize was that Dr. Dean's obsession with her would not stay hidden for long. Dr. Dean's obsession soon turned into resentment toward Jude. As Asha continued to resist him, Dr. Dean became increasingly bitter. He started to view Jude as the obstacle standing in the way of his happiness. The more Asha ignored him, the more Dr. Dean resented Jude. He began to see Jude as the person responsible for his failure to win Asha's affections. Behind Jude's back, Dr. Dean and his fellow lecturers began plotting. They conspired to undermine Jude's academic career, hoping that by destroying his future, they could force him to leave Asha. They made sure to disrupt his academic progress, reducing his grades, making his assignments harder to grade, and setting him up for failure at every turn. Jude, unaware of the conspiracy against him, kept pushing forward, believing his hard work would eventually pay off. But the attacks kept coming. The pressure of academic setbacks, combined with the emotional toll of being in a relationship with someone he trusted, started to wear on Jude. His grades dropped and the professors seemed to have it out for him. His confidence began to falter, but he kept pushing through, determined to succeed. Then, without warning, the university decided to withdraw him. The official reason was vague, but Jude knew something wasn't right. His dreams, his future, everything he had worked for, had been ripped away from him in an instant. It felt like the world had crashed down on him. His heart was broken, not just because of his academic failure, but because he had no idea what had caused it. Months passed, and Jude tried to pick up the pieces of his shattered life. He was angry, confused, and devastated. He distanced himself from everyone, including Asha, who had remained silent through it all. She knew the truth, she knew Dr. Dean's role in his downfall, but she had kept quiet. But Jude was determined not to stay broken. He decided to return to school. He wasn't going to let his past define him. He picked himself up, enrolled in another university, and started fresh. This time he graduated at the top of his class, proving to himself and to everyone who doubted him that he was stronger than his past. His determination paid off. Jude landed a job with a top government agency, and his career began to soar. Life seemed to be moving in the right direction again. He had overcome the odds, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking in his past, waiting to resurface. Then one day, while sitting at his desk in his new office, Jude's phone rang. The caller ID was unfamiliar, but the voice on the other end was unmistakable. It was Dr. Dean. Dr. Dean was calling to confess everything. He admitted to orchestrating Jude's academic downfall, explaining how he had used his position to manipulate events in order to destroy Jude's career. He also revealed that Asha had been complicit in her actions, keeping quiet about the conspiracy even though she had known all along. It was a bombshell that shook Jude to his core. Dr. Dean explained that he had been offered an all-expenses-paid scholarship to study abroad and become a professor at a prestigious institution. But there was one catch: he needed Jude's signature to finalize the scholarship. As much as Jude wanted to retaliate, he found himself in a moral dilemma. Should he forgive Dr. Dean? Should he sign the scholarship and help him achieve his dream, knowing what the man had done to him? At the same time, Asha, who had never married and was now aware of Jude's loss, began to reach out to him. She had heard of his wife's death and, after years of silence, was eager to rekindle their relationship. Jude was torn. It was too much for Jude to handle, and he felt betrayed by the woman he once trusted with his heart. He had once loved Asha, but now he saw her actions in a different light. She had kept the truth from him, allowing Dr. Dean's actions to tear him apart. Could he forgive her? Jude now faced an impossible choice. Should he forgive Asha and allow her back into his life, despite everything that had happened? Should he forgive Dr. Dean, the man who had ruined his future, just to help him achieve his dream? In the end, Jude realized something that would change his life forever. Forgiveness is not about absolving others, it's about setting yourself free. He could never change the past, but he could choose not to let it dictate his future. He signed the scholarship, not for Dr. Dean, but for himself, as a way to finally put the past to rest. He forgave Asha, but he did not let her back into his life. The past was behind him and he was ready to move forward. Jude's story was one of triumph, not because he had erased his pain, but because he had learned to live with it, let go, and rise above it. Life will always throw challenges our way, some are cruel and unfair, but the greatest victory lies in how we face those challenges and choose to move forward. No matter how dark the storm, the sun always rises again, but only if we dare to stand tall and keep moving forward. If you find this story interesting, please subscribe to this channel for more revealing stories.